The topic therefore goes the use of sukuk to unlock money values of existing real estate investments. But before I proceed, let me do a bit of introduction to Islamic finance or Sharia compliant finance. And I would want to go like this. First of all, there are certain fundamentals that we must all understand when it comes to Islamic finance before I even proceed to the issue of sukuk. The fundamentals of Islamic finance, and this is very, very important to be understood, is that in Islam, commercial activities, including trade, banking, and investments, are highly encouraged within, of course, the framework of the Sharia. You know, Islam is not for the lazy ones. Islam is not for those who don't want to do business. We are highly encouraged to undertake as many good activities in trade, banking, and investment as is possible, of course, within the framework of the Sharia. Number two, another very, very important aspect to be understood is that money for us in Islam is not a commodity. I'll explain to you that the conventional banking system, the problem we have with the conventional banking system is that money is a commodity to be traded at a price called interest. And that's where the problem is, and that's where we completely differ or divert from each other. So money for us is not a commodity, and therefore the mere trading of that money with interest is not allowed. Hence, we talk about interest-free banking or Sharia-compliant banking. Interest is, of course, rejected as a basis for transacting business and/or monetary regulation. Islamic finance, therefore, must be asset-backed, which implies direct investment in the real economy. You can't just be trading money, expecting that that money, which you have traded at interest, will be of value or real value to the real economy. That's a problem which I'll explain slightly later. And therefore, we must invest directly in the real economy through activities such as real estate, which our people are doing. Also, in our religion prohibits all forms of transactions which are not in line with the usual trade norms. For instance, transactions based on uncertainty. Uncertainty, or known as jahala, i.e., we cannot be transacting between ourselves, me and you, on a transaction that is not transparent to you, not too clear to you in every aspect. It must be very, very clear. Also, we cannot be transacting on a transaction that is ambiguous, where you are not quite fully informed about the nitty-gritties of the same.
I'll begin with Mohammed Shakil Saliani from Rentco. And when you talk about Sharia-compliant leasing, maybe just so that we don't, I really avoid getting into a conversation when we are not sure that everyone is on the same page. You could just explain to us what that entails as far as Rentco is concerned, then we can pick it up from there. Check.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak here today, and with all protocols observed. There are quite a good number of us living even in this room right now who are either landlords or a tenant. If you're a tenant, you must have signed a lease. And if you have signed a lease and you are a tenant and you're living in that house, which is not yours, you have gone into a leasing agreement. It's that simple. And the best part is that leasing agreement becomes Sharia compliant if you and your family are living in it. But the moment you have subleased it and that other person is not doing a Sharia compliant, a general Sharia compliant engagement within that premises, then your earnings from that sublease are not compliant and they are forbidden, and subsequently your income is forbidden. It's that simple. So when we expound on what leasing is paying rent for something that you don't own. You pay rent for something that you don't own.
All right. I think you have shaken some people. People are beginning to review their lives now. And we'll keep getting to that, because I think one of the questions then is, so how then do I earn a living?
Very good question. So let's get back to the basics of Islamic finance. We hear Islamic banking, Islamic finance is interest-free, right? So we wonder what this interest whole concept might be. The whole idea is, in very brief, in a one-liner, you're told that don't sell money or don't make money as a commodity. If I give you 100 bob and I take 110 from you, that 100 bob became a commodity and the price on top became the profit. That is the benchmark. Wherever you see in any trade transaction or any transaction where money is being made as a commodity and being sold at a premium price, that is what is forbidden in Islam. It's a standard benchmark. We may put all those Arabic terminologies to them, but the foundation is that if you do sell that commodity, that money as a commodity, you have enforced or you have put that person who borrowed from you under pressure. And that is extra pressure which was not supposed to be. And that would be in violation of dhulm, right? That means more about uncouth pressure. And that makes that person's life miserable. So the whole idea is to create harmony amongst humanity. And if you borrow 100, pay back 100. Do not ask anything extra in value. So where that comes, that brings me down to the next question, is like, how do we live our lives? So when we focus on how to live our lives, we earn through a variety of contracts. Under what Mr. Nadif, His Excellency Nadif mentioned, there is the AOFI he mentioned. So AOFI has come up with a number of standards and Sharia contracts. Simple example of going to Carrefour and buying something. Is there a Sharia contract to it? Yes, there is. If you go and pay rent for something, yes, there is a contract to it. If you go into a partnership, yes, there is a contract into it. You heard something called sukuk today. Yes, there is a contract for that. And that's how those contracts are coming about. Now, all those contracts, if you try and focus on those contracts, read up on those contracts, you will fit them into your life and live your life in that way. Whether you are a businessman or whether you are an employee. For an employee, yes, there is a contract for an employee. Yes, there is a contract for business to do trade on installment basis as well. I hope that answers your question.
We'll see. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I want to bring in Abnasir into this. For yourselves, as you say it, Mahash? Mahash. Makash. It's written Makash, but I was told there's a pronunciation. Maash. I hope I don't choke. So, so when it comes to Maash, and you deal in real estate, how does Sharia compliance look like in your space?
Thank you, everyone. With all protocol observed, I know my former Vice Chancellor, Dr. Idile, is here. To speak in front of him, it is very panicking. Rectari, thank you a lot for your guidance when we were together one day in a university level. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, or this afternoon. Sharia compliance is a very wide topic which cannot be discussed in a panel. and it has, you know, the all sides of you know, even you coming here, it should be a Sharia compliance way of coming you here. But when we are discussing about transactions, as a Makash, as you know, Makash is a real estate company, which is now offering at least to offer some demands. You know, the demands of real estate in Kenya is above 250 units annually, while the supply is only 50,000. That is only 20%, so it's 80%. So Makash is just trying to do that, at least to minimize that space of unit supply in Kenya. But as you know, the main Islamic, when it comes to transactions, is ijara when we're in the real estate, or maybe musharaka and murabaha. We are not a bank, so that our transaction is fully Sharia compliant. You know, it's not something. Ijara is now rent to own. Is a component as a Makash company. We were working for the couple of months now, and we are about to finalize the concept of rent to own. You pay the rent. At the end of the day, you will be the owner of that house. But the main two that we usually offer for our investors, which is 100% Sharia compliance, is a musharaka and murabaha, which the investors mostly, we offer them to bring the funds, maybe a percentage of it, and we do a project together. Then we share the risk, and we share at the same time the profit. And murabaha now is somebody who is just truly bringing the transaction, the whole investment. Then we do for them the whole project. But you know, the Islamic compliance part of it is the ethical part of it. It is the, you know, you don't do something suspicious. You know, you don't take the money of someone for you know, for various reasons, maybe on your side, and you just disappear. All that is a concept of Sharia compliance. But specifically those musharaka and murabaha is exactly which we offer at the Makash level, which we are working at the moment on the ijara. Ijara is now the rent to own. You rent and you own. Yes, thank.
All right, and this is definitely something that draws, you know, just a lot of interest for those especially who are not very conversant with the same. And Dr. Mohammed, back to you. And for you as Rentco, you've spoken about leasing in general, right? So now, maybe you could tell us now for the business that you do, so that again we can try and even draw it closer and become even more tangible, and how it plays out, just so that we can break that ice.
Okay, so let's look at a leasing requirement. So, in a simple analogy, somebody is running a factory, let's say a juice factory, and they want to introduce some additional equipment into the juice factory to either create new flavors or create a new product altogether. But it's owned by the same individual. At the moment, the cash flow is tight. There's demand in the market. You've done your feasibility, and now you need the equipment. There are very many chances that you will be wanting to extract all your reserves, take that risk and dump it into the new machinery, all right, and start off with the new business, right? While the old business might end up crashing because the cash flow is broken down. This is where leasing comes into play. It's the best part to consider. In a leasing portfolio, especially at Rentco, what we do is we take our balance sheet, all right, and we stand up for you. We get the financing done on our behalf and purchase that asset and lease it to you. There are 3 to 4 different types of leasing contracts in Islamic finance. There's one which ends with ownership. There's one which ends in a gift. There's one which ends in a sale. Okay? And there's one which just ends, but you don't own the asset. So depending on what your basic requirement would be, would you want it for a specific tenure or not, that leasing contract would apply to you. Okay? Now, when we go further to that depth, that yes, the Sharia compliant inception of the acquisition of the asset has been done. It is already acquired in a Sharia compliant manner at Rentco and now leased out to you in a Sharia compliant manner over to you as the juice manufacturer who wants to expand into other ventures. The asset is with you, and every month you pay off rent into the Rentco account. And in this sequence, it can be for a short-term period, tenure, or 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, even 10 years. Thank you.
All right. Abdul Nasir, how will this, how does this impact like on the final price of, be it a home? I want to buy a home. Are we then saying that if I was to buy a home or a house or otherwise, a house, not a home is made, but you build a house. If you're, are we saying that it's going to guarantee me a lower cost of purchasing? Because right now everyone is trying to see how many coins you can save on everything, but still get the quality you desire.
Thank you, Dan. We have a variety of houses and apartments, from the premium to the high-end villas. And it depends the stage of the building. You know, what we offer, which is Islamically also is allowed, sometimes is selling off plans, whereby when we are starting the construction, we just buy it and pay a certain amount of money. So you will save sometimes even 50%. Sometimes you save 40% of any person who is coming to buy the end product. At the same time, for the Sharia compliant concept, we sometimes even negotiate with the bank. They don't allow to to buy a house for someone on an off-plan stage. But we just give them a guarantee that this building will be finished. Just give this person a fixed amount, which is not connected to the percentage of annual percentage. Maybe, let us say the house is a 20 million. Maybe the bank will add another 5 million for its profit, and it is fixed amount. And after end of the contract, the person will pay maybe 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, depending on our negotiation with the bank and the timeline of at the same time the delivering the project. So the best way of purchasing the lower price product is to purchase the off-plan products, whereby person is starting, then instead of 20 million, maybe you'll get 15 million. So you saved 50 million, that is close to 25% save. Or even sometimes that 13 million, maybe it is close to 40-something million, 40-something%, I mean. So that is how you can own a house. So there is a project we started, you can just come and buy the off plans.
I will see you. Then it will be Sharia compliant.
100%.
100%. And when now we talk about the context of the trade between Kenya and Somalia and the different potential wins there are, Dr. What do you feel are some of the opportunities that have been provided for, which would ride on Sharia compliance in terms of just boosting the trade between Kenya and Somalia?
A very interesting question. Now, mostly what happens is when we are looking at a foreign country, if you have not been there, you would not know what's happening. With God's grace, I managed to visit Somalia last year. And to my surprise, I saw high-rise buildings coming up. I saw malls. And just that drives the impression that The real estate industry is already in a boom, number one. The transport industry, the number of tuk-tuks I saw, and I was told that they have to go into shifts. There are morning shift tuk-tuks and night shift tuk-tuks. So the transport industry is robust. And that's that one level. So as far as the demand for economic growth, when we look at it in an economic perspective, is humongous. The whole idea is that at this point in time, the manufacturing concerns are not present. Hence, the manufacturing workforce is actually outside the country. The moment the manufacturing concerns are present in the country, automatically that manufacturing workforce which is outside the country will drive in, will even develop the current existing workforce who is currently looking to go out to work, be remaining in the country, and make this Somalia as a country a much more robust than it is presumed to be waiting for donations to come in. It's a totally dynamic change currently happening, especially with the new government. So the scope is much, much wider in every, you can say there are approximately around 32 to 40 sectors. Every sector is in a robust boom at the moment. Looking at what we saw as a clip from agri sector to the fisheries, it's in a boom at the moment. We just have to tap it with the right people.
Okay. Abdi, I would pose the same question. What, from your standpoint, are some of the things that the Kenya-Somalia trade relations can benefit, especially riding off the Sharia compliance and that model of doing business?
As you know, Somalis are Muslims. Mostly, whatsoever transaction they are looking, maybe a bigger percentage is a Sharia compliance percentage transactions. And I think what we are doing, just like Rentco and the Makash, is just to ease that transaction to happen. And that is why all conditions, when it comes to the contracting of any transaction, should be 100% Sharia compliance. And the Somalis, their second homeland is Kenya. So that's why also we are building a lot for them even to enjoy the weather and Kenya most of the time. And I think as a Makash group of companies, we are willing even us to have the same methodology in Somalia. And that's what we were discussing even today with the minister, that maybe the same thing that we are doing here, the three sectors we are working here as a Makash, which is health, hospitality, and the real estate, we take it the same duplicate in Somalia, and now they can benefit more, so that they are just there, they are getting more discounts, they are getting more, closer to whatsoever they wanted. So I think Somalia and Kenya are becoming one, and soon the all transaction will happen on both sides. But on our side is now to strengthen the Sharia compliance concept, and even maybe explain more to Kenyans how this Sharia compliance is supposed to work, and what is the the point that needs to be considered when we are discussing about the Sharia compliance. Even our banks, who are every time discussing about Sharia compliance, but there's a certain way we are not 100% in the same concept of Sharia compliance. So that is what we need to strengthen more, have same discussion many times as possible, so that people even understand as a Kenyans, we understand what Sharia compliance we need to offer Somalis for them to come here and invest. As the same way Somali people are discussing what is good there in Somalia, in Mogadishu and other places, so that we can also grow as Mogadishu, Kismayo, and even Somaliland, so that we can invest also as a Kenyans there. So this discussion of Sharia compliance is one of the best and one of the actually crucial topics that need to be discussed every time, as many as possible.
Okay, and just staying with you, you've talked about, investing, like, Kenyans investing in Somalia, Somalis investing in Kenya. From your own standpoint, on this side of the borders, what are the things that you're seeing Somalis being interested in investing in Kenya? Those who are investing in Kenya. So maybe I can start with Abdi, then I come to you. Yeah, that looks like a good one.
I think one thing Somalis are investing here a lot is the normal trade, whereby goods from all over the world and bringing here. That was the major one. But sometime now, people started now investing in real estate. And many of them, they are just interested in those real estate and having new cities, new places, new buildings, and all those things. The other thing they are just actually willing, and discussions going on, is industrial investments, whereby having manufacturing part of it. Several people have already started, and they're already in the middle of production. I think those two, manufacturing and the real estate, are the main points I can say that people are interested from this part of the border.
Okay.
This about Kenya.
Right. Mohammed?
Great. Those are the very key elements, real estate, manufacturing, etc. However, there are two new things which have come out over the last 5 years within Kenya, is Islamic investment banks. There's one here within this building. There's one stall here as well. And investment banks as ETF or Sharia-compliant funds, Sharia-compliant investments, like the one which was released last year was the Ulinzi Sukuk. I think it was already oversubscribed the day it launched, and it was a marvelous hit for us. We are all hungry for such investments, and we do have also REITs, Islamic REITs also coming up, and those are a key investment opportunities coming in. They're in the pipeline, but the ones which are existing were also oversubscribed when they were mentioned that they were Sharia compliant. So any Sharia compliant investment available is in extreme demand from all the Muslims available in Kenya and in Somalia.
All right. And so just in closing, gentlemen, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on what kind of regulations would be needed, that is if they don't exist, to ensure that, there is a stronger framework to support Sharia compliance across the sector, so that it's not just sector A and B, because the people are very aggressive in that space about it, but sector C and D have none. So maybe I'll begin with you, Abdi Nasser, then we can close with Mohammed.
Thank you a lot. I think the main point is that when discussing about Sharia compliance, we discuss about money and transaction. And when we discuss about money, we discuss about the bank. And when we discuss about bank, we discuss about the regulator of the bank, who is the central bank. And I think that stage is what's needed to be discussed, what is Sharia compliant. Because there is a many transactions Sharia compliance, which is 100% safe, but because of the regulation, it's not practiced here in Kenya. Like tawarruq, you can get cash money from the bank, but it is a certain way you're supposed to get it. You will not get money itself, but you get a product whereby you can also bank can sell to you. But now bank is selling maybe in Malaysia or maybe in UK, because here you cannot do it. So there is a lot of many concepts of Sharia compliance which is 100% safe, but because of the regulations, practically it cannot happen. So that stage of the regulation is where it needs to be discussed a lot in Sharia compliance, so that many people can attract, even Arabs can attract them to come, even this Middle East where the money is. That is where people now discuss.
Check. Sorry.
How can we bring them here? Is only to discuss that regulation part. To discuss that regulation part allowed, now policies will allow now to practically use those Sharia compliant method which are available.
And you had mentioned something about there are different perspectives of what Sharia compliance is. Could that in itself be a challenge when it comes to having a harmonized regulation? Because one group may define this is okay, this is Sharia compliant, another will say it is not. So how do you get a regulation that does not look to be biased to favor one party over the other?
Actually, 90% of the Muslims are in the same page when it comes to the Sharia compliance. You may get one or two extreme side, but mostly people are in the same page, and it is very easy to implement and very safe, actually, for the banks, and at the same time for the clients of those banks who are now making those transactions, for the companies like us, and also for the people that we are offering them the services. So that will not be an issue when it comes to the putting the regulations, and it is very safe and easy to put. And I think my brother will comment more on
yes.
that.
Yes, Mohammed was ready. He's been waiting.
When we look at the regulator, central bank is one, as the conductor of the Sharia compliance. But I'll give an example of what Pakistan did. Pakistan, with Basel III, Basel IV, and the likes, which is the standardized banking regulation from internationally accepted, they also adopted the AOFI standards. And they started introducing those standards in their Finance Act. For us in Kenya, there was only one change which was done in the 2017 Finance Act. That means that with that change, the only introduction which happened that sukuk is an acceptable bond instrument. That's it. And it was just a one-liner. Now, we needed more, or we need more of those type of instructions and standards to be introduced in the Finance Act, so that it is not just biased to either the bank or the insurance company or to the leasing companies or a specific sector, but they can be applied universally throughout the country in every sector. That means going into the Financing Act, not just a regulatory body operationalizing the regulations of Sharia compliance. Thank you.